So, I don't know, 50-50. It kind of goes along with what I don't know if you're supposed to set up a joke like that. I'm not really sure if you're supposed to explain the joke. I'm supposed to go ahead and tell you. There was a couple, Roy and Betty. And they had lived together. They'd been married. They got married when they were young, right out of high school, lived great lives. Now they've been married about 25, 30 years. They go to the fair. There was a helicopter ride there. And they're there, and the helicopter is giving out $50 to go up and ride and see the town, see everything and whatnot. She says, Roy, I'd really like to go on that helicopter ride. I believe that'd be a lot of fun. I'd enjoy that. Roy, being the frugal man that he was, looked at her and said, hey, Betty, $50 is $50. Well, about 10, 15 years goes by, they go to the fair once again. There, who'd have thought it? There's another helicopter, same helicopter ride company there. She says, hey, honey, we've done well, we've got a little bit of money saved back. Let's go take this helicopter ride. Go ride around, go see town. I think that'd be so fun. I've never flown. Boy, once again, he's stern, he's strict. He says, $50 is $50. They're up in their 70s now, pushing 80. They go to the fair. There it is. She can't believe it. It's there again. She looks at Roy and says, Roy, we ain't got much time left on this earth. That is my dream. I begged you for it, and I begged you for it. Will you please, please let me ride this helicopter? Roy looks at it and says, $50 is $50. I don't care what stage of life you're in. $50 is $50. The man that's sitting there, he hears them talking. He said, I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. Y'all seem like a nice young, or nice older couple, sweet. Tell y'all are in love. And he said, I'm for that stuff. And he said, I will make a deal with you. He said, I'm going to take you up in this helicopter. If you don't say a word the entire time we're in it, he said, I'll let you ride for free. And they kind of look at each other and they said, you know what, we'll do that. So they load up in the helicopter and they take off and he goes wild. I'm talking flips, going crazy, all kinds of stuff, no peace ever. He flies them around for nearly an hour like that, upside down, sideways, all kinds of stuff. Never hears a thing out of him. Finally, he turns around to Betty and says, Betty, gets landed. He said, how in the world did you not make a noise? She said, well, when Roy fell out, I nearly did, but $50 is $50. Today, I want to tell you that sometimes our priorities can get a little out of whack. But God is good, amen? Praise the Lord. I tell you, I kid you not, good to see Chinks here, but I guarantee you he broke into my house and read my notes this week. Because when I came in, we started having a conversation, and it went right along with the sermon, and then his prayer, it went right along. We're just going to go ahead and stand and pray. We're going to do a different kind of service this morning. Let's just stand. We're just going to invite Lord's presence for this service. Thank you. I believe he's already here. We don't have to invite. Let's just pray over this service right now. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we are so thankful for you, who you are in our lives, what you came and did for us, Lord. Lord, right now we ask that you just continue to bless this service as you already have. Make yourself especially known in each individual life today. Lord God, teach us something, bless us with something that we desperately need. We'll give you the praise and we'll give you the glory. In your special name we pray. Everybody says, amen. I got a book and I've been reading it. It's a really good book. It's on the kind of beginnings of Christianity and whatnot. And I learned several things. Some I already knew, but I learned some stuff. And before the Protestant movement, in the Catholic Church, the Bible was only read by priests. Okay? We would all gather for Mass or for church, and I would read, and y'all wouldn't have no Bible there. Y'all just sit there and listen to me and hope that I was right. Okay? I would read and tell you what it said. What I decided to read is what y'all heard. If I didn't decide to read it, you didn't hear it. Right? And that's the priest's way. Well, then it come a time when Martin Luther, a great man named Martin Luther, and several like him, decided it's time to translate the Bible for people. The Bible's meant for people, and it's time to translate that. Before this, it was works driven. It was works. You had confession. You had to go and tell the priest everything you'd done, and find out what it took for forgiveness. I read some things where Martin Luther had wrote how you would have to go and say you lived just a wild life, okay, but then you found Christ. You found Christ, but your family didn't. Well, you could go to the priest and give money, and if you give enough money, maybe you could get a few of them out of purgatory into heaven. It was a burdenous relationship. Galatians 5:4 is what was actually given in this book. The writer, who was a former Catholic priest, wrote this, Galatians 5:4. You who are trying to be justified by the law have been alienated from Christ. You have fallen away from grace. And he said that's how he felt. He said he felt like he was clawing and scratching, trying to reach Christ, and he was always just a little bit too far away because it was works driven. It was driven in this manner. But then people begin to get Bibles. Okay? People begin to get Bibles, and they begin to read them, and they begin to see, holy moly. I don't know if they said that in the King's English. Holieth molieth. We can have, salvation is free. Salvation is free, and it's undeserved, and it's no strings attached, and it's for us, and all we have to do is believe. And they begin to grab a hold of this. And it was an amazing thing. So today we often talk about, as Protestants, as evangelicals, we talk about grace and mercy, right? That is the cornerstone of our faith. That is why we're here today, is because of grace and mercy. But we often bundle them like they're the same thing. Grace and mercy. You usually hear it in the same sense, grace and mercy, grace and mercy. But who knows they're actually two different things. And today that's what we're going to look at. We have the honor and the privilege to open a Bible and read from the Word of God, the inspired words of God. And we're going to look at that today. I believe that's a great privilege and a great responsibility of ours. So we're going to look at this. We're going to see how they relate. We don't want to become Galatians 5:4 people, bound by the law and separated from Christ. So here we see, and something else I love about the Bible is this, is that every word of the Bible, if you take it and every book, every passage, every scripture, it all points to Christ. It all points to Jesus. And that even includes the Old Testament. Sometimes we like to look at the Old Testament, it's like it's a history book, and the New Testament is what we need to live by. But it all points to Jesus, right? It all points to Jesus. So that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to start with grace. And because everything points to Jesus, there's oftentimes in the Old Testament typologies, or people in the Old Testament that represent something in the New Testament, none greater than David. David in the Old Testament is a direct typology to Christ. We're going to see this in different ways, but there's several you can go on and on as far as David and Goliath defeating the giant, and so many. David represents a type of Christ. Now, was he perfect like Christ? No. We know that he failed, but he represents a type of Christ. And here we see this. So first I want to go here. And this is one that I've preached several times since I've been here, but it means so much. Probably one of my favorite events in the Bible, and that is 2 Samuel chapter 9, starting verse 1. And that is the story of David and Mephibosheth. I know I've spoken it before here, but it is the perfect, true story, I believe. It is an amazing example of grace. It is an amazing example of grace. We're going to start on grace. We'll look mercy. We'll start on grace. Mephibosheth and Jonathan, which is the son of Saul, were closer than brothers. They were the besties for the rescue. They loved each other. It was just an amazing relationship. And then one day they had a talk, and Jonathan said, let's make a deal, David. If something happens to me, you'll take care of me and mine. My family, my household, you'll take care of them. David said, yeah, that sounds real good. If something happens to me, you'll take care of mine. And an agreement was made, a covenant was made between them to do this. And we know that Jonathan and Saul, in war times, they died. They died. And now we see in 2 Samuel 9:1, David asked, is there anyone still left of the house of Saul whom I can show kindness for Jonathan's sake? He's remembering that covenant. He's remembering that agreement. Now there was a servant of Saul's household named Ziba. They called him to appear before David, and the king said to him, are you Ziba, your servant? He replied. The king asked, is there no one still left of the house of Saul to whom I can show God's kindness? Ziba answered the king, there is still a son of Jonathan. He is crippled in both feet. Where is he? The king asked. Ziba answered, he is at the house of Machir, son of Ammiel, in Lodabar. So here we're finding out of a young boy named Mephibosheth, son of Jonathan. When Saul and Jonathan, in war times, when it was found out they were killed, it was custom of that time that whoever the new king was would come and would wipe out any chance that their lineage would ever come back to power and try to take the throne. That was what was custom was in that time. So of hearing of Jonathan's death, Jonathan's housemaid, carrying a baby Mephibosheth, flees. Flees and runs. And in the commotion and in the everything, drops Mephibosheth. And because of that, Mephibosheth is crippled in both legs. So here we see a boy, a man now, to be a man, crippled not by his own fault. Can I tell you today that we were born into sin, right? We were. A decision, many, I go on and on years ago, a decision was made. So now I was born in, we were all born into sin. I was asked a question this week, and that was this: do you believe, and I'm sure everybody's heard this question posed, do you believe that people are born into certain sins, whether it be homosexuality or alcoholism or whatnot? And my answer was yes. Kind of flabbergasted me. But I said, listen to me though. I said, I do believe everyone is born into sin. Now, do I believe you're born gay or you're born alcoholic or all this? That might be the devil's thing for you. I don't know. But that doesn't mean you're supposed to live that way. Are you with me? We're all born into sin. Mephibosheth is no different here. He was born fallen. He was born dry. It was not his fault, but it was not the will of the Father for him to live that way. We're going to see right here. So David says to Ziba, go get him. He's in Lodabar. Lodabar means a dead place. A place of death, a deserted place. And he goes there and he says, go and get him. And it says, when Mephibosheth, son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, came to David, he bowed down to him to pay honor. David said to Mephibosheth, your servant, he replied. Don't be afraid, David said to him, for I will surely show you kindness for the sake of your father Jonathan. I will restore to you all the land that belonged to your grandfather Saul, and you will always eat at my table. Mephibosheth bowed down and said, who is your servant, that you should notice a dead dog like me? So here Mephibosheth comes, and he comes forward and says he bows down. Crippled, no doubt, still, from his fall. Being raised in a place of just death and despair. Here he is now in the king's presence. He bows down. David says, I want to show you kindness. He doesn't say, because you were a good person, does he? He doesn't say, Mephibosheth, I heard of all the good things you've done. I want to show you kindness. That ain't what he says. I heard about all the nice things you've said about me, so I want to show you kindness. That's not what he says. He says, I want to show you kindness for Jonathan's sake. Mephibosheth, you had nothing to do with the kindness I'm about to show you. The restoration I'm about to show you, you had nothing to do with it. I'm doing this for Jonathan. Can I tell you today that we had nothing to do with our salvation? We didn't deserve it because we were good enough. We didn't say the prettiest prayers, therefore we received it. We received it for Christ's sake. That's how we received it. So Mephibosheth goes on, and instead of just receiving what was freely given to him, undeserved, it's no strings attached, that complete restoration of his life, he says, well, who would notice a dog like me? He can't get past who he is. Dave, can I tell you, Christians, if we just look at ourselves and try to see how we can earn it, we'll never be able to. You'll never be able to look at yourself and say, well, if I do this better and that better, I should be able to earn salvation. I should be able to earn this restoration. That'll never happen. But Mephibosheth says, here I am, I'm just a dog. He's got a very bad view of himself. I'm crippled, I'm beat down. I'm sick. And it says, then the king summoned Ziba, Saul's servant, and said to him, I have given your master's grandson everything that belonged to Saul and his family. You and your sons and your servants are to farm the land for him and bring in the crops, so that your master's grandson may be provided for. And Mephibosheth, grandson of your master, will always eat at my table. Now Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. Then Ziba said to the king, your servant will do whatever my lord, the king, commands his servant to do. So Mephibosheth ate at David's table like one of the king's sons. Do you notice something David did not do here? Mephibosheth said, who are you to notice me, a dead dog like me? Pitiful. And that's the worst way to talk about somebody if you call them a dead dog. Because dogs weren't a lot like they are today. They didn't wear bows and stuff, and shirts. And have little special stores for them. They wasn't a Petco back in those days. A dead dog was the word because a dead dog was an unclean animal, so you couldn't eat it. dead dog ain't going to hurt sheep. A dead dog ain't going to alarm you when somebody's coming to the door. A dead dog is worthless in those times. Completely worthless. So what Mephibosheth is saying is, I'm completely worthless. Completely. Now what you don't see David do here is say, well, I didn't think about it that way. Come to think of it, you can take him back a little bit. That makes sense now when he says that. That makes sense. You know, forget that covenant with Jonathan. This guy's, he's worthless. Go on back. Go on back. Now, David didn't even respond to it. David doesn't even answer. David just goes on telling the servant, hey, he gets everything that was his grandpa's. All the things that he had, it's his now. He will always eat at my table. He will be like one of mine. He doesn't even, today, can I tell you, you don't have to tell Christ how bad you are. You don't have to go around with an upset countenance, a sadness about you, because he knows everything about you. He says, I'll do it all again for you. I'll do it all again. You have a place at my table. Not because you deserved it, not because you were good enough, or you did this, or you did that, or you gave this amount, or you prayed this amount, or you came to church this amount. It's because I love you, and I made a covenant that was fulfilled for you. Glory, glory, glory. Give me praise just for a second. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. I wrote this down because I wanted to just give a basic, I could give a dictionary answer, but this is just kind of how the Lord kind of led me to this grace. Write this down here again. Grace. Giving someone something they do not deserve with no strings attached. That's grace today. Christ has given us something we did not deserve. David gave Mephibosheth something he did not deserve. Because of the covenant made, we get it, no strings attached. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Next thing is mercy. Turn with me to 1 Samuel 24. 1 Samuel 24. Samuel 24. Here we see David, once again, a type of Christ, showing mercy. 1 Samuel 24:1 says, after Saul returned from pursuing the Philistines, he was told David is in the desert of En-Gedi. So Saul took 3,000 chosen men from all of Israel and set out to look for David and his men near the crags of the wild goat. He came to the sheep pens along the way. A cave was there, and Saul went in to relieve himself. David and his men were far back in the cave. The men said, this is the day the Lord spoke of when he said to you, I will give your enemy into your hands for you to deal with as you wish. Here we know. Let's go a backstory of Saul and David here. This is not a friendly group here. At one time they were close, but then they completely went the other direction. Saul became bitter of David. He sought to have David killed numerous times. He made David a wanted man in his own country, a country that he fought for, a country that he protected. He made him a wanted man. His name was something that was a bad word in that time, in that country. Saul hated him. Absolutely hated him. Samuel had anointed him through the will of God to be the next king, David. Saul hated him. So Saul is seeking after him. Isn't that a little overkill even? I mean, you tell the hatred for Saul. He got 3,000 men going after David. I mean, he hates him. That's when you hate somebody right there. I'll tell you what I hate, especially from the hills. Y'all don't understand it real well, but ticks, I hate them. And they said use a bag of this per acre on your yard. I bought 3 of them. Because I was making sure there wasn't going to be a tick one in my yard whenever I lived up there. Why did I do overkill? Because I couldn't stand them things. So that just shows the hatred Saul had for David with the overkill that he had. And it says that he comes to a cave. And when you got to go, you got to go. So Saul goes on in the cave. He goes on in there. And there's David in the cave. And there his people are saying, hey, David, this is the time. The Lord has given you Saul. He's given him to you. Now I tell you today, in a time of war, David had every right to take Saul's life. He had every right. It ain't murder at that time. In the rules of war, he had every right to take Saul's life. No one would question. Not even the people of Saul would say that was a wrong act. They would say that's just a casualty of war. That is the time that we're in. You have every right to do that. But let's see what David does here. It says that The men said, "This is the day the Lord spoke of when he said to you, I will give your enemy into your hands for you to deal with as you wish." Then David crept up unnoticed and cut off a corner of Saul's robe. Let's go on down now to verse 8. It says, "Then David went out of the cave and called out to Saul, 'My Lord the king.' When Saul looked behind him, David bowed down and prostrated himself with his face to the ground. He said to Saul, 'Why do you listen when men say David is bent on harming you? This day you have seen with your own eyes how the Lord delivered you into my hands in the cave. Some urged me to kill you, but I spared you. I said, I will not lift my hand against my master, because he is the Lord's anointed. See, my father, look at the piece of your robe in my hand. I have cut off the corner of your robe, but did not kill you.'" That, my friends, today is mercy. I wrote this down for mercy. Sparing us something we totally deserve. That's mercy. Sparing us from something we totally deserve. Grace is giving us something we don't deserve. But mercy is sparing us from something we totally do deserve. Saul deserved death at that time. That was war. Everything that he had done, people were urging David to do it, do it. Take his life in this thing, go take the throne, and let's lead Israel into better days. That's what they're saying there. Let's go and do what you got to do. This has got to be the Lord's will right here. You got to do it. Do it. But David goes and just cuts off a little piece of the robe and says, "Look, I could have, but I didn't." Today, can I tell you, Christ has shown each and every one of us so much mercy. We deserve so much. I wonder today how many things Christ has shown me mercy that I don't even know about. How many times I've gotten in a vehicle and drove down the road and the Lord has protected me and I never even seen it. How many times that my body may have been sick and I never even knew it, but the Lord showed mercy. Saul was terrible to David. He said wicked things and did wicked things. But David said, "You know what? You're the Lord's anointed. I'm not going to do it." Today we've all failed Christ. We all have. We've all failed Him. We've all said things we regret. We've all done things we regret. But He doesn't see that. He said, "I made a covenant. I made a covenant." Glory, glory, glory. That is mercy. That is mercy. Could you imagine life without mercy and grace? Could you imagine a day without it? I can't imagine a day without it, but I can read about one. Now turn with me to Mark 15. Mark 15, we're going to be in verse 33. Here we see Christ has been trial. They put him on trial. An innocent man has been found guilty. And he's being taken down to the cross. He has the cross. He's been beaten and bruised, mocked, spit upon. The worst torture you could ever imagine. And now in Mark 15:33, it says, at the sixth hour darkness came over the whole land. Pitch black, dark. And at the ninth hour, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" So here it goes dark. From the 6th hour to the 9th hour, it's dark, pitch black. I believe that is what that was in that time. Everybody has a little different opinion. This is opinion here, but I believe it can be shown in the Bible. I believe that was a time when Christ experienced no grace and no mercy. Dark, dark, pitch black, no grace, no mercy. And then he cries out, "Lord, Lord, why have you forsaken me?" One man ran and filled a sponge with wine vinegar, put it on a stick, and offered it to Jesus to drink. "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes down to take him down," he said. With a loud cry, Jesus breathed his last breath. And I tell you today, I believe with that breath, as he took on a time with no grace and no mercy, he experienced a time with no grace, no mercy, a time we can never imagine. Pain, suffering, anguish, mental, physical, spiritual, all of it. He took on all the sins of the world. I believe when he took that last breath, out flowed grace and mercy. And it flowed, and it flowed. And it says then, let me read it here for you. And it says, with a loud cry, Jesus breathed his last. The curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. And when the centurion who stood there in front of Jesus heard his cry and saw him, how he died, he said, surely this man was the Son of God. So with that breath, I believe today flowed mercy and grace. Grace that we didn't deserve, but we received by faith. Mercy, everything we deserve but didn't, that is not going to be bestowed upon us for the love of Christ, flowed. And with it, the curtain was torn. And with that breath and with that tearing, that represented that we would always be able to go places that before we couldn't have went. We can go and have relationship, no strings attached, free of charge. Not about what you've done for me lately or what you're going to do for me down the road, but just because of who you are and the covenant was made, it's there. Glory, glory, glory. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Grace and mercy flowed. I believe that today. It says it's always darkest before the dawn. It was a dark time. I can imagine that, those 3 hours. So from the 6th to 9th, however long it was. Dark, dark time. So dark. But with that last breath, with him saying, it is finished. I believe that. I don't believe that centurion said that just because of how he died. I believe he felt something in him. He said, hey, this is the Son of God. There's something inside me different. When that last breath went out, I felt something different. When I seen everything that just transpired, I felt something different. Glory, glory, glory. So what should we do with it? I'm going to close on this. What do we do with grace and mercy? What do we do with it? We got it, right? What do we do with it? And my answer is this: we talk about it. I believe there's been a great deception brought upon Christian people. And people use Scripture and whatnot. I know the Bible says the meek will inherit the earth. But I do not believe that means that we're as Christians go around sad and depressed all the time. Down and out. Afraid to talk about what God's done for us good. Afraid we might offend somebody. Now I believe I'm speaking in the Spirit when I say this right now. But if Miss Penny, led by the Spirit, made me a big batch of biscuits and gravy and deer meat and mashed potatoes, once again led by the Spirit, and I ate it up, and then someone come to me and asked me about it, and I said, how would that make her feel? She worked hard on that. I didn't deserve it. She just gave it to me, right? She just felt the need to do that. Glory, glory, I'm feeling the Spirit. She just felt that need to do that. I don't know if I'm being prophetic right now. I can't tell. But she felt to do that, no strings attached. It wasn't because of what I did. And if I responded with that, well, I didn't want to make them other people feel guilty because they didn't get it. No, it's okay. It's all right. That's offensive to the giver. When God has done so many great things in your life, do not be ashamed of telling the people about it. I always pray this. I oftentimes pray this. Lord, make your will shown to us. So just where nobody can deny it. It's there. And I believe this week He told me I want to if people would start speaking it. Because He's created in us. We are His mouthpiece. We are His hands. If the Lord's doing something great in your life, tell people about it. Make it noticeably shown. Glory to God. No, Miss Penny she did this for me. It was phenomenal. It was great. I didn't deserve it, but it was wonderful. That's what we need to be doing. How was your day? Well, you know what? I have struggles and trials, but can I tell you what Christ has done for me? That doesn't make you boisterous. That doesn't make you cocky or any of the other words we could use. Now, if you act like you did it, if somebody said, how was that meal? I said, well, I worked hard on it. You know, I choked it down good. I did a good job on it. I ate it fast. That's me taking the credit. That ain't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about saying I didn't deserve it. Boy, wasn't it great. Wasn't it great? You ought to have some of it too. Glory. Let's stand all over the house. Let's stand all over the house.